This is Marsha Scarbrough, International Living's Spain correspondent, and I am in Villajoyosa, Spain, with another American expat, Steve Aronberg. Hi, Steve.
Hi, how are you, Marsha?
Yeah, very good. Where are you from?
I'm originally from Massachusetts, but the last few years I lived just outside of Washington, D.C. in Alexandria, Virginia.
And how did you decide to move to Spain?
I had a friend that lived here in Spain. I'd visited Spain a number of times, and I was just here on vacation, and she said, "What would you like to do?" And I said, "I think, why don't we have a look at just real estate? I don't know, just to see." And she said, "I have a friend who's a real estate agent." And so we went out looking, and 3 days later, we found our home.
Okay, and where do you live?
I live in Benalmádena Pueblo, which is just to the west of Malaga on the Costa del Sol.
Oh, the Costa del Sol. Very good, very good. And who is we?
So I have married to my husband. We've been together 24 years. We've been married for 8.
Oh, so romantic. So how was the process of moving to Spain? How did you handle the bureaucracy?
So I'm retired, but at the time we moved here, I was still doing some consulting and teaching work. My husband is still employed. He works as a flight attendant for an American airline. So at first we just wanted to get a place here that we were going to eventually retire to, and it just turned out that we decided that I would fully retire and live here full time. He is still working and he commutes back and forth.
But are you on a retirement visa?
No. So he happens to be Danish, and because he's an EU citizen, I was able to immediately get a residency as soon as I applied for it, since I'm married to an EU citizen.
Lucky you. And what do you love about Spain?
I love everything about Spain. I love the culture, I love the food, I love the wine, I love the beautiful weather, 300 days of sun a year, and it's just so many wonderful things here. It's the best thing I'd have to say is the quality of life. It's very easy to live here.
And would you say Spain is a gay-friendly country?
Absolutely. That was one of the things that really impressed me. The area where we live is very close to Torremolinos, which is internationally known as a place where a lot of gay people come to vacation, and a lot of Europeans as well. And when we are in the process of buying our house, and they wanted to know what is the relationship, we said we're married, and it didn't seem like it made any difference at all. And I found people to be very accepting, and it's a very gay-friendly place.
And could you just tell us a little about LGBTQ culture in Spain?
Well, yeah, I think that it's interesting because even though like Torremolinos has a lot of gay friendly restaurants and hotels, it's sort of just okay to live amongst everyone else, and it's just a very accepting place. So I don't find myself being focused on just surrounding myself with LGBT people, but instead to have LGBT friends and to have straight friends, and it's just not something you would even think about.
That's fantastic. What was your biggest challenge?
I think the biggest challenge is just trying to adjust to the Spanish culture. For instance, personal space. Americans are used to having large amount of personal space, and that's not so true here in the EU. And I think Spanish bureaucracy, they're very noted for that, and I found that to be especially true when I had to get a Spanish driver's license.
Several people have mentioned that as a challenge. I haven't gotten one yet, but give us some of the steps you went through.
Okay, so because there's no reciprocity between the United States and Spain, you basically have to start from scratch. So I had to sign up with a driving school, and I took about 12 classroom 1-hour lessons. Then you have to do practice exams for the written test. You can take it in English. However, it's translated directly from the Spanish to English, and they use a lot of British terms. So I had to familiarize myself with the British terms then they're also tricky when they ask these questions. And you have 30 questions, you can only get up to 3 wrong to pass. And so all 3 answers might be right, but one is most right. So it makes it very difficult. Instead of trying to think, well, what makes most sense, you have to think, well, what is the right answer for this question? So it's a lot of practice tests. So I was fortunate, I passed it on my first attempt, but then the driving exam, the practical, I found that to be even more difficult because I've been driving for 47 years at the time. I have my ingrained habits. There's a lot of different rules here in Spain, and they're very difficult rules. They're very particular about passing the test. So it took me 3 attempts before I finally passed.
Yeah, and how long have you been in Spain now?
It'll be 5 years in January.
And do you speak Spanish?
I speak very little Spanish, and I really need to work on my Spanish. I call it pigeon Spanish. I'm able to order things in restaurants. I know vocabulary words, but to have a conversation with someone in Spanish, it starts to get difficult for me. That's one of my goals, is to become, if not fluent, at least able to conduct conversations.
But you've been here 5 years,
yes,
and you've gotten along fine.
I think part of the reason is the area where I live. So there's a lot of British expats on the Costa del Sol. Mm-hmm. So you really don't, this is a problem as well, because you don't really need to learn Spanish to survive. You won't be immersed. Even in restaurants, when you try to speak in Spanish, you'll say like, I would like una agua por favor, and they would say, would you like ice? So it makes it difficult. You really have to be dedicated to try to learn Spanish.
So what's your advice to any North Americans who are considering moving to Spain?
I would say first thing to do if you really would like to move to Spain is to come and visit. I think you should maybe take some time and go to places that sound interesting to you. I mean, certainly there are beautiful areas throughout the country to live. If you prefer to live at the beach in a nice warm climate, look at the south or look at Alicante region. If you are more interested in more cultural areas, certainly Barcelona or Madrid are fantastic places to live. But the best thing to do is to see what's right for you. Travel to different places in Spain and get a taste of what it would be like.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Well, you're welcome.